things only get scary if they get a little too close to oncoming traffic. But in most cases, those freeway chases, they're a little bit more predictable, and it's good for law enforcement as well. But in the suburban area, that's when you have to worry about more cross traffic, more pedestrians, or just people that are just trying to make their way home and not really going beyond the speed limit. So it's just interesting that this driver, maybe they don't really know the area, is so close to some other interstates or other freeways that might make it easier for the driver, frankly.
Exactly. And now it's also if this driver knows this area and that driver is just trying to stay in a familiar area. And you're right, this thing is surrounded completely by freeways. The 118 to the south, 405 to the west, 210 to the east, and wraps around to the north. So easily any of these streets can get onto the freeway at any point. So right now, Glen Oaks is one of the major north-souths that go through this area. And Roxford is just north of that 118. So he's paralleling the 118 at this point, going, it looks like eastbound now. So, yeah, it's just a matter of time whether he's going to stay in this neighborhood, which is a very congested type area. You get into the smaller residential streets off the majors that go through, and it becomes very dangerous. And then the officers have to take that in consideration. As you're a police officer in a pursuit, you are required to drive in a manner that protects the public. You just can't come up and race through an intersection. Freeway. There's your freeway.
Yeah, there's
getting on that 210.
To Susan's point, now we're on the 210 East. So here we go. Traffic probably a lot lighter right now. Looks to be already as we're making our way onto the 210 East here. In terms of when it becomes too dangerous, what will it take for them to go into what we call tracking mode and sort of back off? Obviously, he's or she behind the wheel has their pick of the lanes because it is pretty light traffic, so it's not necessarily as dangerous as it was just a moments ago on surface streets. To Susan's point, nonetheless, that's something to think about as now we're reaching speeds. Of course, it's almost like the driver can hear me, reaching speeds above 100 miles per hour.
Yeah, exactly. And on surface streets, that's the weaving, the blowing through red lights, the stop signs, the high speeds through residential area. And that's what that sergeant on scene, that sergeant's job is to make sure that the pursuit is conducted in a safe manner. As I was saying, the officers are responsible for protecting the public in these pursuits. And if it gets a little bit too fast, a little bit too reckless, they will call it off and let the air unit follow it and do what they call surveillance mode and just stay with it until they get it to an area to where they can see the driver get out. But now on the 210 freeway, it's wide open, heading to the east here. 110 miles an hour is not really a big deal on this freeway because it's very lightly traveled most of the time. And right now you see how the traffic is very spread out, so it gives this driver a lot of room to pick up speed. And it's also, at this point, we're going to get a little further as we work our way past the 118. It's going to start an uphill and then a downhill. So you're going to see speeds really increase as we go through the hills on the backside of the Shadow Hills, the La Cañada area, as he comes down through that valley. So you're going to see a lot of speed here, unless he takes this 118 off to the back to the west. It looks like he made a little head fake there for that gore point, but continuing on eastbound on the 210.
It looks like the driver's coming off of the freeway now. And, Tim, I was going to interject and ask you, when a driver is on the freeway, whether that takes away some of the tools from the law enforcement's point of view. But now, okay, going back on the freeway, I believe. So there's a couple of strategies that they might use if the driver remained on surface streets, correct? That they cannot employ when the driver is on a freeway.
Oh, yes, they can do the pit maneuver on the surface streets. They can also do a pit maneuver on the freeway if it gets into the speed profile that's required. And so also pit or spike strips are easier to set on smaller streets because you have less area to go around the spike strip instead of being on a freeway that's 4 or 5 lanes wide. It's hard to do that, and especially at these speeds. You end up getting other people on the freeway if you try to put it out there without some type of funneling process or some type of bottleneck in the freeway where it drops down to 2 lanes as it goes through the interchange, things of that sort. So, yeah, a lot of the tools are taken away. And so at this point, they just keep on going. It looks like we're going to do another ramp here at Lakeview Terrace. And we'll see if he does another, what they call ramping, where you go down, come right back up.
What's the advantage of doing that?
It's just to throw off the officers to see who follows them down the freeway. It looks like we're going to take the Foothill Boulevard here. This will take him down through the valley here, unless he gets back on the freeway here. Yeah, U-turn. Yeah, heading back to familiar territory. So I would be surprised we get back to the Paxton Hubbard area and he gets off again and stays up in the Sylmar. But right now, all he's doing is delaying the inevitable. You're going to end up going to jail one way or the other. That LAP is not going to let go of a armed and dangerous suspect, and neither is that air unit that's overhead. I'm sure they're going to stay with the helicopter as best they can if this thing gets way too fast. But on the freeway, 110 miles an hour is really nothing for the officers to stay up with. But at that point, that's when you get to those speeds. What is the driving ability of that suspect? Is that suspect, able to drive that speed? Because when you get up to those high speeds, you make any move with your wheel to go around cars, and once they get a little fishtail going, usually it turns out really bad where they start spinning across the freeway. So now the officers can sit back, get a little bit further back from the vehicle, let that air unit call it. There's no reason to get up right on it at this point, but just wait for it to see if it's going to take another off ramp. But I'm betting you it's going to get back off this 210 here somewhere around that Sylmar area just to get back down your familiar area. Yeah, hilly area. That tends to do that to the signal.
It's very
from
dark.
The
Yeah, I'm not sure if you're behind us, but we just lost signal. We're in black right now.
No, I'm in black too.
You're in black too. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like we're getting our picture back. So speeds, between 80 and 100. That's the last that we saw. This blacked out looks to be a sedan of some type, armed and dangerous suspect inside. Don't know if there is anyone else inside the vehicle. I love, though, I've been noticing this, and I'm being sarcastic, of course, and I probably shouldn't be sarcastic.
I know what you're going to say.
The blinker. The blinker back and forth on the lane changes here.
So he's following that traffic rule. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the muscle memory. Even though you're being chased by the police at 100 miles an hour, you still have the muscle memory to hit the blinkers. You make lane changes, and it just kind of makes me think about it too. It's the driver just doing what is rote memory, and it just comes out. So you see this driver ahead of him is trying to get out of the way of the police cars that are behind him. So if you're in a situation like this, you have this coming up behind you. The best bet, if you cannot get over, is just stay in your lane, let it pass you, let it go by you. Don't try to move out of the way.
Sorry to jump in here, but I hadn't seen that before, where it looked like the lead vehicle was doing the light back and forth. Did you see that?
I did see that. I'm not sure what was happening there, whether signaling the driver to pull over or do what he might have been even talking to him on the PA system. Yeah, talking to him on a PA system. But officers do all kinds of different things to try to end this. They see pumping through this intersection now, picking up a little more speed. Coming around, and so right here would be the perfect time for a pit on that turn when they slow down, get down sub 20, and you could take it around. And at that point, if you're taking it on the right side, he's putting towards the sidewalk. But you have to be pit trained, and not every LAPD officer is pit trained, and so they have to pick the area, pick their timing, and once they spin it around, they don't want to send it into oncoming traffic or up onto a sidewalk where you have pedestrians. So you got to be really careful. This week, as I called it, back in the Sylmar area, back to familiar area.
Right, not just in the Sylmar area, Tim, but precisely where we had picked up this pursuit to start. When we first looked, and he had gone in the other direction, by this parking lot. So now the driver, I say he because I'm old school, and if you don't know the gender, people tend to start with he. So the driver in this vehicle is basically going in circles or squares and returning to an area that we've already seen the driver before and making these turns, which then means, Marla, as we pointed out before, that the driver can find the person's way back to the 210 freeway where he got onto the 210 freeway initially. So
And this would lead me to believe that, I mean, they're here for a reason. They know this area. They could be, we've seen this happen before, where they're on the phone with friends or family, and they're trying to make, a plan of escape, whatever that may look like for them. Sometimes they do get away. It does happen. But most of the time, it ends with that person in handcuffs. Tim?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, it's just delaying the inevitable. We always say when they get out and start running, you're just going to go to jail tired. So if you're not going to get away from the air
Right.
unit, especially with all the equipment they have nowadays. So, but the thing like this is where this driver is just cruising around now at 35 miles an hour. It is a very tight area, as I explained earlier. You get into the sub areas of this neighborhood, it gets really small. So you're going to have to go around traffic and through intersections, and it has to go a little slower because it's just not a lot of room to maneuver. And we're lucky for that the speed is staying down. That if this was up in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, topping out, the watch commander then and the officer, the sergeant on the scene, would start talking about backing off the ground units, because you don't want the ground unit running into somebody going through an intersection or losing control on a turn. So you have to be responsible as the pursuing officers to protect the public, as I said, but you also have to try to stay with this suspect. Now, they more than likely have more information about the suspect in this vehicle than we're privy to, and the want is a little more important to get this person versus just a simple traffic violation or just failure to yield. But you never know why they're failing to yield. What did they do that you don't know about? Because I've had to chase many people where they are really bad people, and it ends up really bad at the end, and from a simple infraction of some sort. So it's just like the situation.
If you're just joining us here on LA Live News tonight, we've been following this sedan making its way through the streets of Sylmar, and you see there that the pursuit was based on the accusation that this is an armed and dangerous suspect. That's about all we know. We don't know who's inside the car, who's driving the car, what precipitated that want from LAPD that this person is armed and dangerous. But that is going to not really change the way they approach the driver, because I think, Tim, and you can confirm this, that whenever police have a chase like this, they're going to be worried that perhaps the suspect is armed and dangerous. It looks like they're going into like an alley or a...
Yes, this doesn't seem to me like this is an accident where they're going. Meaning, no, and this is complete speculation, but given that they have been going in circles or squares, as Susan put it, right? I mean, honestly, they were doing that, and now we're back, and it seems to me that
as if they knew that that was a throughway that they could still get through. Otherwise, I mean, my thought was, well, that could be an alley, and that could be something that is just a parallel road but doesn't go anywhere. But this one did.
It appeared to be a dirt lot as soon as you turned into it, so you'd have to have prior knowledge to know that there was an alleyway at the end of that to get out. But there's a lot of area up here in Sylmar that's forest property, and there's a lot of area that's unimproved, so you could turn down the street and be on a dirt road very easily. So I thought that's what that turned into right there, but it looks like this person knew the way around, and we just keep going around the same area of Jerome Field, Raven, and like you said, all surrounded by that freeway. That would be a high-speed getaway, as we would think for a normal pursuit. But this driver staying in this area kind of tells me that only thing I don't understand is the speed. So this driver's not trying to make distance between the units behind him, because what they do is they try to get a little bit of distance, get a corner or a couple turns ahead of you, bail out and run into the neighborhood, and they have areas where they can run to that they know the people who live there, who will get safe haven for them and hide them out, and that becomes very difficult for the officers to find unless you have that air unit that can follow them right to a back door as they've gone over 3 or 4 fences. And that's the value of having that air unit overhead, keeping an eye out. So right now, it's just a matter of time to see how this is going to end, and the LAPD is not going to give up. Pulling over. Yep,
there we go.
Let's see what happens.
Will this be a game of cat and mouse, which we've seen, where they fake it?
Yes.
But we'll see if the door opens. We'll see guns drawn from law enforcement. Typical protocol.
Most dangerous part of the pursuit is this
Door
end, 'cause you
open.
don't know what you're up to.
Hands up.
2 hands out.
One leg out. Looks to be a young male driver wearing red.
And
Hooded red sweatshirt, hat backward, red shoes.
what is he pointing at, I wonder?
I live right there. Like it matters.
Look at
I
the
mean, that's
number of
amazing what people
officers.
say. Yeah.
Wow.
That was what I was saying earlier. You have officers staging in the area, ready to come in when this unit or this car comes to a stop. And now you'll have units take the suspect in back behind the police cars, and then they'll form up a team to go up and clear that car to make sure there's nobody hiding in that car.
This is typical protocol. So now that the suspect is in custody, to Tim's point, they will now make sure that the vehicle is clear. We'll have to wait to see. And they are approaching the passenger side.
With guns drawn.
Looks to be locked.
So they're looking in as best they can, because as you pointed out, the windows are pretty blacked out.
Now they'll pop the trunk to make sure there's nobody
Body language
there.
has changed significantly, so they must have confirmed that there's nobody else in there, or at least they're fairly confident nobody else is in there.
And until the jack in the box happens when somebody pops out of that trunk. I mean, you got to stay on your toes until it's all completely covered. So, and that just comes from all my years of doing this. So it's right now it looks like it's code 4 here. The trunk is clear, and now the investigation starts to see what was going on and why this person ran and what was the assault with a deadly weapon. So the story is not over.
No, the story is not over. I'm glad that this had the ending it did, though, here at this moment, though, in terms of no one was involved in any serious collision. Everyone seems to be physically okay. Good news there. Could have been a whole lot worse with the speeds that we were seeing. And as they search this vehicle and that suspect is in custody, we were going to call this, and we were going to thank Tim Lynn for hopping on the line with us and helping us call this latest pursuit that's coming to an end at Sayre and Borden Avenue in Sylmar. Tim, we appreciate you. Thank you.
Marla, Susan, have a great night. Talk to you on the next one.
Okay.